we're finding such intense productivity. For example, with our sales reps, the ones that are using AI consistently, we're seeing about a 10% increase in their pipeline. We're seeing a 23% higher close rate and 9% larger book of business in actual revenues.
Welcome back to the Ultimate Guide to Partnering. I'm Vince Menzi, the CEO of Ultimate Partner and your host. And I am thrilled today to welcome Nina Harding, Microsoft's partner leader for the Americas business. Nina, welcome to the studio here.
Oh, thanks so much for having me.
So excited to have you.
This is great.
Many of you don't know this, but Nina actually lives here in Florida.
Yeah.
We both live in Florida.
Yeah, we live pretty close to
pretty
each other.
close
Right?
together, yeah.
What, 3.5 miles maybe?
Something like that. Yeah, it's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
And this is our Bokeh Studio. For those of you who haven't been here yet, Nina's going to be here this winter. We'll have you on stage.
Great.
In front of our partners, all of our partners that watch and listen to the Ultimate Guide to Partnering. But so thrilled to have you join us today. We have such an amazing conversation to have today because this is an important inflection point in Microsoft's year, right? The beginning of fiscal year 2026.
Yeah.
For those of you looking at your calendars and watches, it's 2025, but for Microsoft, we've started fiscal year 26. Yeah. And so many changes that are happening, so much excitement and enthusiasm around the new year.
Absolutely.
We have a lot to cover today.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
We do.
so I thought maybe we'd spend a minute on that, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Maybe we'll start there because there were a lot of announcements made.
Sure.
And Judson and Nicole and some others were on stage just about a week and a half ago talking through the changes.
Yeah.
I thought maybe you could help lead us through some of the conversation on what's changed and what's stayed the same.
Great. Well, I think the biggest change I've seen is partner is front and center as one of the top 3 priorities at the company.
I am
right
so
now.
happy to
So
see that.
that is really exciting.
Yeah.
So we had to start, as you mentioned a couple of weeks ago, and every single presentation, every single executive was talking about our partners. When Judson normally has like a panel of customers up there, this time he had 2 partners and 1 customer. So the tone is really forward on partners. The major changes that you're seeing is that we're trying to bring the partners more into the core business. Align them with the sales teams. So what that means is our channel partners are now sitting toe-to-toe, shoulder-to-shoulder with the SMC and E folks, right?
Yep.
So what we hope with that is there's even tighter integration. We get rid of some of that friction that might have been there, and we operate as one. Our partners really become that extension of our sales force out there on the front lines. On the other side, we have an opportunity in the enterprise to go even tighter and deeper with our services and what we're now referring to as our SDC, Software Development Companies.
I know.
I know. Good old
Sandy
Microsoft.
Gupta and I had a conversation about this at our last event, and it's so hard. It doesn't roll off the tongue very easily.
No, it doesn't, but it's actually much more inclusive.
Yes.
So it's funny, I had a conversation with NVIDIA, and they were the ones that kind of prompted even that opening with me of saying, hey, we don't see ourselves as an ISV. And they're not.
They're not.
Right? And so SDC is much more comprehensive. But kind of going back to some of those changes, that's where we're seeing even tighter integration. And how that shows up in the way we look at pipeline, how we do reporting in each of the OUs. Do you want me to talk about the OUs as well?
I do. Let's talk about, just for people that don't understand our acronyms, but so small, medium, enterprise, and corporate is SMEC.
Yes, it's SMEC.
And a lot of partners, we're going to talk about what partners sit where. And then the OUs are the operating units.
Correct.
They are, and what people don't always realize about the way how Microsoft is structured, because you sit on a leadership team and you've got representatives that are very industry focused, right, across various aspects of the business. And they have their own VP, they have their own marketing organization, they have their own selling organization, and so on and so on.
Yeah.
So talk to us about that. That's the operating units.
Right. So we affectionately call them operating units, but they're really, as Judson affectionately calls them, TAM capture units, right? So a country You could have a country
Yep.
or an aggregate of countries, or you could have division of countries. They're really based on the TAM capture opportunity. So in the
And
United
TAM being
States,
total addressable market, as
correct,
most of us
correct.
know.
Sorry.
Yeah, and that's right.
Yes. But for example, in the US, we have gone 100% industry based this year.
I
It's
love it.
really, really exciting.
Yeah.
So we no longer have territories anywhere. And we've actually been able to introduce some new industries like oil and gas,
So
right?
I've seen that.
Gaming. Those are real industries that make a difference to everyone. And so what's exciting about that is the conversation is changing. We're going further and further away around how do we position product to how are we really solving customer problems. And the conversation is all at that industry level, in that language with experts from the industry, helping to solve problems with the customer. And that's where our partners come in too.
Yeah, it makes such a big difference. And then the partners that are surrounding that sales organization are ones that are laser focused on that specific industry, right?
Absolutely, and that's so critical. I think today, where our partners and even Microsoft sellers, we perhaps were comfortable positioning product or doing implementations.
Selling that EA.
Right, right. Now we're moving into
Yeah.
this kind of Imagineering stage where
Yes.
we're really, where we've talked about being the strategic advisor to a customer. Well, now it's really here.
Yeah.
You have to speak their language, you have to understand their business problems, and then you have to help them also reimagine what the future looks like.
It's so critical. We were the first industry in public sector when I was there, and we were the only ones who spoke a different language. And then the rest of the field organization was territories. And it was, accounts were just split up. They had different sales reps. There was really no knowledge of what that customer did. And like you're saying here, I mean, it's so critical and important.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I want to dive in a little bit on SMEC and the channel and how that integrates. So the OU relies on partners, and co-selling is an incredible piece of
Yeah.
what they do as well, right?
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
and I know that you said that they're paid a little bit differently. Before we started, you were talking about compensation packages. And things
Yeah,
changing.
so we've really made an effort this year to make sure that for our enterprise partners, so in particular, the services and the SDCs, right, the ISVs,
Yeah.
that we have a really strong co-sell motion.
Nice.
So we're focused on making sure that we're understanding all the opportunities together. We're looking at propensity maps and that we're making those introductions at a deeper level. From a compensation perspective, and even a review, the methodology and making it part of the day-to-day rhythm of the business, as we refer to it
Yes.
at Microsoft, means it even is in the way we do monthly business reviews, how we're showing up, evaluating the business. What is the partner attach rate? Are we seeing a difference when a partner is attached at stage 1 versus stage 2 versus after the deal closes?
Yeah.
Are certain partners performing better? Is the size of a deal getting bigger because the partner is in there? Those are the things that we're able to do now that we have much tighter integration with Microsoft's MSIM model.
Yeah, and that's what I knew you were alluding to the MSEM.
Yeah.
So a lot of people that have been to our events before, we've had MSEM has been repeatedly covered or talked about.
Yeah.
So that's Microsoft's customer engagement methodology.
Very good.
And and what's really terrific about this wasn't there when I was at Microsoft, is really this structuring of this is the steps you take in the sales process. These are the things you do. This is when partners get engaged in the process with you, right? It helps
Correct.
the sellers better understand what the expectations and accountabilities look like.
Yeah, especially the accountabilities around the different roles. And that's what I like, is that we've actually gone down to the role level, and not only what their role is with the customer, but what is their role with the partner?
Yeah.
And then what role does the partner play at different stages? So the maturation of the model has really opened the aperture, I think, for the opportunity for partners to come in and make a material difference and be part of the engagement process.
It's so critical. And one of the things we do at our events, and in fact, we'll have a co-selling workshop conversation here later this month. We'll have a couple of experts come in. including Jen Weiss, who's one of the partner development managers, well known. And then we have a lot of leaders that come in here to talk about this, because partners aren't always aware of what their role is, right? And maybe the partner alliance manager, the leadership does, but within their own organizations, there's some coaching that they need to do with as you've had to do with your organization. They have to do with their organization as well, to make sure that they're showing up right when they have those conversations and meetings.
And actually, in showing up right, one of the conversations I'm finding I'm having with a lot of partners, more than I've ever had, is going back to some of the basics. Like, when was the last time as a partner that you looked at what your internal profile looks like? How are you showing up in our systems? What are the areas of expertise that you have? What are the customer success stories that are associated with you? And I know that that all sounds very simplistic, but we're also in the world of AI.
Yes.
And if we're starting to put agents in front of all this information to help make recommendations to the field. And so I encourage our partners to go back and look at some of the plumbing, look at the basics. We're going as far as in the Americas, we're introducing something called the APB, the Americas Partner Brief. And I know it sounds crazy, but
this is a new one for me.
I know. It's just.
And what is it exactly?
It's just getting introduced. It is a detailed, much longer profile on a partner that can be built with the partner, that goes into their industry expertise, more around their customer penetration and what they've done, helping to understand the workloads that they really can make a material difference on. It's not just about migration, but what release of Oracle can you migrate to Azure? That's the level of detail that our field needs. And as a partner, you want to differentiate yourself by these types of things. So these APBs allow us to have that much more detailed conversation about the value proposition and what differentiates each partner. And then in front of that, we have an agent. And so as a sales rep is out there, and maybe they're in healthcare, life sciences, maybe they've got an Epic implementation, but now they can say, hey, it's an Epic implementation on Azure, and I need to understand which partners can do that migration, which partners have built agents, have worked with, any plethora of solutions, and ideally that's what comes to bear.
So this is happening in Partner Center, I'm assuming, or it's happening outside of Partner Center?
It is happening internally right now, as a tool internally.
So it's an AI tool.
Yeah.
We're going to talk a little bit more about the opportunity around it.
No, we have not exposed it through Partner Center yet.
This is eating your own lunch here, basically.
Absolutely. Yeah, we need to be AI first in everything that we do. And I have a ton of examples around how it's transformed the way I do business, how I even work with partners, how I prepare to work with partners, how I go to market, or how I even do performance reviews. I mean, it's really fun what it's doing.
Well, and then what you're saying is, too, these partners need to show up in a certain way so that they can be identified, right? You need to have the right articulation of what your value proposition looks like so that Microsoft can find you. This is almost like SEO years ago with finding search engines and things.
Well, it also will highlight their designations and their specializations, but those are used to really unlock access, right?
Yes.
Unlock access to different incentives, or access to ESIF, right? Or access to the field. But it's that next click down where the magic happens. And as we all know, there are quite a few people that can get to the designations, but they don't necessarily have the magic sauce that your firm has. And that's what we're trying to do, is make sure that we can help you illuminate that differentiation.
And your sales teams are perfectly aligned with the customer and know exactly what the customer is asking for at different levels, right?
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of people miss this too. I do want to jump in on some of this tectonic shift conversation with AI and some of the other areas, but I do think that people misunderstand, like, what does an account executive do? What does the sales team look like? Maybe you can just help us double click a little bit on that. I look at the account executive as almost like the quarterback, and then they have solutions people that support them, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's AI, whether it's cloud, whether it's Office and other applications. How should a partner think about engaging with that team?
Well, there are a number of caveats to that. I'm just saying directly engage with that team, right?
Yeah,
So
yes, exactly.
the first is I do recommend that partners, if you have a partner development manager, that you're working with them on understanding and fine tuning your value proposition with regards to a particular opportunity. When we introduce you into the account, it is very effective, and then we're actually tracking it. And going back to that reporting I was telling you, it's on the leaderboard, right?
Yes.
And so even leadership is paying attention to all of that.
Yep.
But as you're looking at the account team, you're absolutely right. We do have the AE, which is like the quarterback, right?
Yep.
They're responsible for the overall relationship. But we now have this year, we've moved to just 3 solution areas. So yeah, is that wonderful? Yes.
I'm relieved.
I know. Well, I think everyone is,
Yeah.
right?
So what are they?
Right. So we have Azure and
Yeah.
AI, right? We have our biz apps and then
Nice.
security.
I love
Pretty
it.
straightforward,
Very
right?
straightforward,
And then
yeah.
you put it all together there. But what's nice is that then you'll have the specialists by those 3 different areas. And as a partner, you want to understand where you fit across all of them, or 1 or 2, right? And then we also have our customer engagement, right? So they're looking at the success of the customer and the implementation. Those are actually a really key person for a lot of
Yes.
our partners, in particular our services partners, because they often are right in there making the recommendations
Yeah.
on which partners to bring in to help make what we're positioning real.
Yeah. So Azure and AI,
Mm-hmm.
which is pretty self-evident. Business applications, do double click on that with me, because we always talked about Dynamics as kind of being its own separate thing, but this is also tying in the whole Office suite and everything else into it as well, right?
Yeah.
So there's everything that's customer facing.
Yeah,
From a
yeah,
business perspective.
you know your stuff. That's good. Yes, we're in this world where you're seeing the commingling and blurring of the lines between productivity tools and actually your traditional ERPs, CRMs, right? And that is where we're unlocking a lot of the magic. There's a lot of momentum for us right
Huge.
now, for our partners as well, as a lot of the customers are saying, hey, I want that blending. I want my end workers to be able to fluidly go between their experience in Outlook and being in the ERP system,
Yeah.
right? I want to be able to use copilots that go across both, generate the emails. You're a sales rep. I want it to automatically send some of these emails or write the emails that then I can add to before I send it to my customer. We're finding such intense productivity. For example, with our sales reps, the ones that are using AI consistently, right? Consistently. So that top quarter,
Okay.
shall we say, like in everything that they
Yeah.
do, we're seeing about a 10% increase in their pipeline.
Interesting.
Yep. We're seeing a 23% higher close rate. That's interesting.
That's really big.
And 9% larger book of business in actual revenues. That's pretty cool.
It's very well. It says, as a seller, it says I need to get on board.
You do.
Yeah.
We all do,
Yeah.
right?
So, well, let's talk about that a little
Yeah.
bit too. Like AI, we can't, I've talked about the tectonic shifts, right? So we talk about how rapid change transformation has been going on for quite some time. We used to talk about the fact that COVID was an accelerant 4 or 5 years ago. But then this thing called ChatGPT happened, then CoPilot happened like 3 years ago. Let's call it 3 years now. And
Oh, you're being generous. It's
well,
not that long. Get that.
No, it was November of
That's part of
22
yeah.
when ChatGPT hit the market.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then CoPilot the spring afterwards.
Right.
But this accelerant is happening so fast. In the beginning, we overestimated what we expected. The Bill Gates comment, like, we overestimate what's going to happen in a year, we underestimate what's going to happen in 10 years. We're starting to see this hockey stick now. What would you say?
Yeah, it's incredible. Where we saw customers maybe dipping their toe into things like Copilot,
Yeah.
right? Now we're seeing them double down and make it pervasive and available to everyone at the company. You're starting to see it transform the way we're setting up call centers. right? The way HR is engaging, the way that we're putting together sales proposals. It's in every piece of the business now.
Yes.
Finance. Help me understand what are you seeing from my numbers? Give me some intelligence so I look a little bit smarter, right?
And you've been talking about verticals. I think about financial services. I think
Oh,
about
yeah.
healthcare.
Oh,
I mean,
healthcare, yeah.
the impact in healthcare is astounding.
Oh, absolutely. Like going to your doctor now, you actually get to have a conversation with your doctor.
Yeah,
They have drag in there, right?
that's
That's
right.
recording the conversation, putting it into the system. And I know with my doctor, I feel complete transformative relationship. It's almost like we went back 25 years, but not with
Yes.
today's technology in healthcare.
Because now they have Epic or CERN or whatever the application, but Epic is 80% of the market right now, right? And
Yeah.
you have a great relationship with Epic as well.
Absolutely. But what I love is, to your point about healthcare, we're back to like actually caring for the patient,
Yeah.
not having to do all the data entry.
Oh, I used to hate it. The doctors just sitting there tapping away. It still happens, by the way. They're not all using Dragon yet.
Oh, that's
They'll get there.
we've got
They'll
some
get
work to
there.
do, partners. Let's get them.
I'll give you a list of some of my doctors.
Yeah.
But no, it's fascinating. Agentic AI,
Yes.
right? So we talked mostly about the current use and CoPilot and other uses, but this agentic AI really starts to change the game because now applications start talking to one another. It talks about this business applications that all start speaking to one another.
Yeah.
You work with organizations like ServiceNow as an example that have been really leaning in on agentic AI.
Yeah.
Hopefully Michael Park will be coming to the podcast here soon.
Good.
He's also a former Microsoftie. But just this whole agentic piece is really, what are you starting to see there?
Oh, it's exciting.
Yeah.
It's transformative. So let's give a practical everyday example, right? We're all partners here, understanding the partner world. I had someone on my team in a matter of maybe 2 hours build an agent that digested all the information around all our incentives worldwide.
Oh my gosh.
And now you can just ask the agent a question on incentives. Can you believe that? I mean, that's just a little basic, practical 2-hour project. What we're seeing is agents are showing up to help our practical reasons around partners, help our field find the right partner, ask really interesting, like kind of nuanced questions and be able to address that. But it is allowing us to have autonomous and semi-autonomous workflows, right? It's really incredible what we're doing. I'm looking at every part of my business on where can I supplement to create a better experience for our partners or for my team using an agent so that they can focus on the value-added work, just like we were talking about healthcare. I want my doctor to talk to me. I want him to have a conversation with me.
Absolutely.
I want my team to have conversations with the partners and explore what's possible, not trying to kind of look through the minutia detail.
Well, sit
That can
there in
all be-
Partner Center and trying to figure out how much business you've tracked this year and that
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
thing. They don't have to do that any longer.
No, we now have agents that can actually put all of the information together and distill it in one place.
I
And then
love it.
even go out, you can ask it to go out and get market information or think up new ideas and concepts. What haven't I considered on doing with XYZ partner?
Let's talk about the organization a little bit more. I want to double click on the fact that now you have this separate organization that's very channel focused and your organization is enterprise partner focused because the two do come together at certain
Absolutely.
points, right?
Yeah.
Those channel partners are selling first party, Microsoft's first party products into those accounts, as well as selling those partners that you're working with. So there's this combination. I see a lot of it happening in the marketplace, right? I see this collaboration happening. What's your point of view on marketplace and the collaboration with the partners that you work with there?
Yeah, I think Marketplace is a very, very powerful co-sell tool, right? It allows, in particular, our software development companies and even services companies, and then software development companies can bring in channel partners as well. But it allows you to reach out to our entire customer base and have the ability to accelerate the sales. And also help highlight what your offerings are and tailor them. I think that's really important. But getting back to kind of the concept of the small SME and C and
We don't want to say SMEC, do we?
right, and EPS. Well,
It rolls off the tongue
we say,
sometimes, but
but those are internal organizations, right? And so we really don't externalize it too much. For example, when I do addresses to the America's partners, it's across all of the different
Absolutely.
areas. And our partners, take an ISV, very few ISVs only sell into enterprise.
Yeah.
They're really across all segments. So we work together. And my tagline internally is that if partner people don't know how to partner and do business across all sorts of areas, then we're in the wrong business.
Exactly.
So I'm excited about how it's energizing and connecting with the sales organizations,
Yep.
where it's also positioning our products to make sure that they're segment specific and they're addressing the needs of the customers in the segments, as well as that we have incentives that are really geared around the different behaviors that the partners are driving and the benefits that they're driving for our customers across multiple segments. So it allows us the fidelity to meet our customers and our partners where the value proposition is even more
And
effectively.
it makes perfect sense. And you start thinking about the enterprise and how you're driving across it, and then also against the OUs. And then we like to talk about the long tail, right? You start getting into even the mid-sized market and then into the smaller accounts. And all of the Microsoft Toolkit and the Partners Toolkit are coming into those customers. We just did a session here last week on MSPs because that whole world is changing because they now need to be ready on Microsoft technologies and understand how to work more closely with Microsoft because it's no longer the old days where they were turning the crank and worrying about a laptop computer.
Yeah.
They are really, they're doing AI now. They're doing cloud in a big
And it's
way.
it's a different model, right? We're very quickly moving away from this transactional sales approach, right?
That's right.
And I don't mean to simplify it to that extent, but
Yeah.
the paradigm has shifted to, wow, you're actually advising a customer on changing their business processes or bending the curve on innovation or how do you have more intimacy with your customers? Or how do you make the day in the life of an employee better, right?
Exactly.
Those are the conversations you need to be having, and that's very different.
Very different than the transactional, I want to sell you an EA or whatever
Correct.
that conversation was. And that was the old model.
Yeah.
And to your point, that's how they need to think differently and operate differently. You're starting to see some acquisitions happen, like some of your partners, like Insight is a good example.
Yeah.
They've gone after organizations that did that exactly, that understood solution selling and bringing the whole portfolio to a customer. And you're starting to see more and more of that M&A activity happening in this market.
Well, it's critical. It's no longer go in and position and sell the solution. The customer wants you to be there through the duration to actually have the impact.
So critical. You know, it's almost like Microsoft picks a theme every year. And this year for me, watching Start and seeing Judson up there talking about Frontier for the first time, I love it. It's not a novel concept, but I think the approach is like we're going to lean in a way that we haven't before. We're going to appreciate partners and customers that also lean in on this frontier. Can you take us through what frontier actually means?
Yeah.
And
So
how
we're
it-
talking. We're really going hard on the frontier company, right?
Yep.
And what that is it's a mindset shift, right? Think about the frontier. That's where it's the world of the possible.
The
right?
West, I think about the West.
The
right?
West, right? But it's really around making AI absolutely centric to the way everything you do,
Yeah.
right? So it's about the agentic computing, the use of CoPilot, even GitHub as you're developing your solutions, and it's really thinking around what is the world of possibility versus being limited by what functionality came out of the box, right? In theory, right? So we're really excited about it, and we're excited about bringing our partners along on the journey. The conversation is shifting. We're talking about that all the time with customers. It's just fundamentally, it's about exploration of what we can do together.
I love that.
And as you're looking at that, we need to almost have the ecosystem and our sellers and every company on the frontier of what is possible with AI and making sure that we're as efficient, as effective, creating the experiences that are optimal for our clients all the time, and then reimagining how do you go about serving your customers
Yes.
differently.
I love it. I love Frontier. I'm ready to get my cowboy hat on. I wanted to spend a minute here, if you don't mind. I have a favorite question I ask each of my guests.
Sure.
A little bit off the track of partners, but in a way it ties back into it. So, Nina, you are hosting a dinner party, and it could be anywhere in the world. We were talking about Denmark earlier. We're talking about South Florida. Talking about New York City, another great location. You lived there, and I just came back from New York.
Yeah.
You can invite any 3 guests to this dinner party. Your choice. Present, current, or past. Some people have even referred to in the future, somebody in the future that they would invite to this dinner party. Whom would you invite and why?
Ooh, that's a good one. First, I'd invite my mom.
Okay.
So I lost her at 26, so she never knew me as an adult. So, and she was one.
You were 26 at the
I
time.
was 26. She was 54. And so it would be really interesting to know her as an adult and have an adult conversation around career, family, children, just the way the world works. She spoke 7 languages, and watching what's happening in the world today, she was definitely a woman of the world. Let's see, who else would I'd actually invite my grandfather too. So I'm leaning in on family.
I love the
think.
family conversation.
The reason is I think family is so core to who I am. It's one of my most important values. Whether it's my personal family or my work family, I treat them with that kind of respect. But with my grandfather, the reason why I'd love to bring him into the conversation is he was in Denmark and very involved in World War II. And I found out he wouldn't talk about it very much about the resistance in Denmark, but he helped with a lot of getting the Jews out of Denmark into Sweden on boats at night.
Wow.
And I'd love to have a conversation, now that I understand that, about it. He was also involved in setting up the EU. He was on the tax board in Denmark. And so just to see things that I'm living and breathing in my world today, to have conversations on what his thought process. He also did business in Burma.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
Yeah.
And
There was a
all
Burma
over.
back in the
Yeah.
day. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. And he adopted a boy from Burma who became my uncle.
Wow.
So just the things and the experiences that in today's world, I never had a chance to explore there. And then in the future, going back to family, I have 2 little boys, 4 and 13 months. Can you believe
boy.
that? I
Oh,
know,
boy.
crazy. I would love to invite their wife.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Because I would love for them at this dinner party to meet the previous generations and the roots, and have the exposure to the history, the multicultural nature of our family. But the reality is I'm also a little bit older. I don't know if I'm going to have the pleasure that you just had a few weeks ago
such a
with
great
the
question.
weddings. And I'm really looking forward that I'd have a chance to really spend some meaningful time
Imagine
with
that, though, as a young child to meet your future wife, and for you to meet their future wife at that point in time.
Yeah, it would be pretty cool.
Yeah, and so cool to have your mom back.
Oh, yeah.
And your granddad. I lost my dad when I was in my 20s, so I understand that that hole that you feel like you've gone many years without.
Yeah.
And then he was also World War II, so was part of the he was part of the D-Day invasion and the occupation and everything. So, but that whole generation was so different. They were so quiet about their time spent there.
Very, very. And I think in today's world, I would love to get to some of those core values and those decision and points and what guided them. Those truths that are part of your core.
I always like to ask this question because it sets us up for as we finish the conversation today. All of our amazing partners that are watching and listening today. Nina, we've got a big year ahead, right? A lot of incredible things. Microsoft, in my opinion, has built the most incredible ecosystem, the largest ecosystem by far, and has done the most work here. And I think a lot of organizations, I I tend to go on it sometimes with LinkedIn with people, and they really don't understand how Microsoft operates, which is why we do what we do. We try to help them to better establish relationships and engage and co-sell and marketplace and the like with you and your team. What would you say to them now about what they need to start doing as we get into the, because it's still the summer here, at least.
Hey, we're way into Q1 here.
Right. So it's Q1. We're kicking into the year in big time.
Yeah.
What if these partners need to do better, differently? How should they be thinking about fiscal year 26?
Yeah. Well, you're hearing it in almost every question you've asked. AI is central to everything we're doing. So get on board, learn. We know that it can be scary in the beginning. There could be some hesitancy from people. And I really encourage you. We have so much training, but the most important thing is to become customer zero and to embrace that technology with yourself and then with your colleagues and at your company. So important, because how are you going to position? How are you going to evolve with your customers if you don't inherently know? I often recommend to people just start with something that's personal. So I'm Danish. At birthdays and weddings and celebrations, you write a song in honor of the bride and groom or the birthday person.
Oh, how cool that is.
And oh gosh, I would sweat having to put these songs together to Rubber Ducky or Oh Susanna. I can go now into CoPilot and it can write me a song in 30 seconds. I mean, it's awesome. So just start with something that doesn't feel scary. Then very quickly it will move to performance reviews. It can move to how you prepare for a customer engagement or a partner engagement. It can help you innovate on ideas or market opportunities, help you look around corners. So that's the number one thing.
And customer zero, people don't all understand that. That's Microsoft's terminology. We used to say eating your own
dog food, right?
Yeah, which we don't use the term dog food any longer, but essentially like use the technology that you're selling.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's the number one thing, because you have to evolve with it, or unfortunately, I don't know what that market is going to look like for you 3-5 years from now.
And the leading indicators all show us that you need to be on board. You need to be staying trained every day on top of this, because it means that your pipeline, your sales, everything is going to be impacted by that.
Yeah. The second thing that I also encourage for partners is, in this world where everyone wants to do everything, I think the power of differentiating yourself and creating your value proposition is so important. What that means is your value proposition on success you've had with customers, making sure that that's tangible in stories and videos, whatever, making sure that you understand by industry what your value proposition is and your depth of expertise. If you're doing everything, right, you know that expression, you're peanut buttering, you're probably not showing up as doing something great from a field perspective. So that differentiation is really, really important.
I've worked with some of the but when I was doing consulting work back in the day before we started up the events and podcast, these organizations wouldn't understand how to engage at the OU level, and they didn't speak the language going into the meetings. They'd have a healthcare conversation the same as a financial services.
Yeah, you can't do that anymore. Yeah.
And these were large ISVs. These are multi-billion-dollar organizations that don't understand that.
Yeah. Well, and that's what you're seeing at Microsoft. In the U.S., we're 100% verticalized, right? All industry-based. We have Canada, Latin America, but even within the countries, you click down one level, it's verticalized.
Yes.
So the power of that differentiation and the application to a customer pain point, trends by industry, absolutely critical.
So critical. And then the differentiation, I'm sorry, but like getting people's attention, right? You need to be able to show up in a way that people understand what your value looks like.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can't do everything, but you do these things really, really well.
Really well.
You want something to pop in the mind of the sellers when they hear XYZ scenario, right?
Absolutely.
So that's really critical. Enablement, we are evolving so quickly. If you did training 6 months ago on AI, hate to break it to you, it's a new world
It's old.
already, right?
It's old.
So make it part of like your Friday mornings or your Friday afternoons. Make learning an experience. It's part of your routine. It's something fun. Do it with your colleagues. Share top 10 best tips and tricks. You need to really embrace the enablement piece, more so than I think we've ever needed to before.
And being technical in that regard too, being on top of that technical expertise is so critical.
Yes.
You've put more resources there as well, right? You've lined up more resources for enablement.
Absolutely. You'll see that in our field sales organization. We shifted where our resources are. So it was in the news, right? We made some big changes in early July, but we also are hiring up in other places. So it wasn't a net deficit. It's actually an increase in technical roles. So we're seeing.
It speaks to, too, as AI has proliferated our world and our movements, certain roles are not as important anymore. The roles that are important are the ones that are more specific to executing performance, which are more technical in nature and enablement. So this makes perfect sense.
Yeah. For example, in the U.S., we have, 350 open roles right now for solution engineers.
Nice.
Right?
Nice.
So what you're seeing is this shift. And for our partners, I encourage you to look at where the conversation is going. But what happens is that you have to be able to translate between the technology and the business.
Yes.
And that is what's so critical right now. I would, of course, always say make sure you're looking at things like your designations and making sure that you're on top of the incentives and how those are all growing and shifting. There has been a tremendous amount of investment made into partners this year.
Very nice.
And then outside of that, I think let's have fun.
Let's go. Fun.
Let's go solve some real problems together.
Yeah.
Let's innovate together. Let's collaborate. It's in the conversation that I'm finding the magic now. It's not just in the routine kind of map and play of mapping an AE to an AE on a deal. It's actually in the exploration of what's possible.
Yeah. And what's possible is amazing. We have an incredible year ahead.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we would love to have you come join us. We're going to have a busy fall and winter here. So for those of our viewers and listeners who haven't heard it yet, we just opened up our registration for our Reston event. Washington, D.C. area is always a popular spot. October 27th through the 29th.
Great.
We've got an open invitation for you to come
Great.
keynote for us. We'll be doing something around Ignite. We don't know exactly what that looks like, TBD. And then this winter, we're going to be back here. I'll hopefully be joining you in January with what you'll be doing, but then we'll have some things going on here as well.
That's great.
So I'd love to have you back here in the studio.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity. It's
Nina,
wonderful
so
to
great
connect.
to have you make the trip today and be with us. So great to have you with our partners that are watching. A lot of which listen. We're starting to get more YouTube now. More people are watching us, but so great to have you here today. So thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Nina. Thank you for watching and listening to this episode of The Ultimate Guide to Partnering. We're online at theultimatepartner.com or ultimateguidetopartnering.com, where you can find all information about our community, Ultimate Partner Experience, as well as our live events. And we've got a busy fall planned for you, where we're hosting our live event in Reston, Virginia, in the Washington, D.C. area on October 27th to the 29th. We're going to have an amazing list of speakers and people there in the room. So great way to continue learning how to become the ultimate partner. And stay tuned, because we've got more ahead that we'll be announcing as the fall continues. Possibly another event in the fall, as well as being back here in the Bokeh Studio this winter. So thank you again for watching and supporting us.